Yes, that's it. Give in to your anger. Show the world what you really are. Han Smash! Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation. Today, I'm taking a look at the Marvel Legends Captain America Brave New World Red Hulk. Starting off with the packaging, and an extra-wide character like Red Hulk deserves an extra-wide window box. This one has a red, white, and blue motif, along with the Captain America Brave New World logo. On the side, we have Harrison Ford. On the back, we have Harrison Ford. And then on the front, we have, we got him on the side and the back. We also have a little bio, and then on the bottom is the UPC for those searching in store. For packaging, I'm giving Red Hulk 5 points. Moving on to presentation, and Hulk stands at 8 3/4 inches, or thereabouts 22.5 centimeters. When I saw the promotional images of Red Hulk, I thought he was mainly reuse of the Endgame Build-A-Figure, but that's not the case. Putting them side by side, we can see that Ross is a brand new and much bulkier sculpt. This broader body seems like it would be perfect for earlier MCU versions of Hulk. Similar to the Endgame version, there's some nice rough texturing to the skin, bulgy veins, and painted on chest hair. It's okay, but doesn't really have any dimensionality. Additionally, while at a normal stance, the top half doesn't really match up with the bottom. In fact, you actually have to arch him back to get that to line up. Still, it's nice that they actually painted under the diaphragm. On that note, the figure does have some painted on shadows and highlights. It's subtle, but really does add something. It's hard to tell on camera, but even the back muscles seem to have some shading. With this being a new sculpt, that means it's also pinless. That also includes the knees. While we're here, though, I do have one observation about the pants. Mainly that there aren't any tears, and that it just looks like a pair of stretch pants. Not to give anything away, but when he transforms in the movie, he's wearing regular pants like any other Hulk. So I do find the lack of things like a fly or pockets or seams kind of telling. This brings me to my major complaint about the figure, and I assume everybody else's. It doesn't look a thing like Harrison Ford. Again, the box art looks like Harrison Ford, but this is more of just a generic Hulk face. As for how this happened, I have a few theories. Toys based on movies have to go into production well in advance to line up with release dates. As such, the concept art that a toy company is given to work with doesn't always match the final product. Looking under his piggies, and we can see that this figure was copyrighted for 2023, so Hasbro is clearly sitting on these for a while. With the death of William Hurt, it's entirely possible that Harrison Ford wasn't locked in when they had to go into production on the toys, so they just kinda had to wing it. Lastly, it's always possible that they just didn't have likeness rights, or hear me out, what if they didn't want them? Obviously, Harrison Ford is no stranger to action figures, and with those action figures comes likeness rights and additional compensation. A brand new Hulk sculpt for $35 is a pretty impressive feat for Hasbro, but having to pay Harrison might have squeezed them out of that price point. Ultimately, this is all conjecture, and we'll probably never know, but the upshot is that this does make for a realistic, comic-style Red Hulk if that's what you want to use him for. Beyond that, I only have one criticism. No black fingernails? Hulk always has black nails. I know he didn't have them in the movie, but it just feels wrong not to see them. After all, they did manage to give him a smoky eye. Another satisfied client. Well, there's only one thing to do. I bet you monsters lead interesting lives. I said to my girlfriend the other day, gee, I bet monsters are interesting, I said. The places you must go and the things you must see, my stars. And I bet you meet a lot of interesting people, too. I'm always interested in meeting interesting people. There. Perfect. Likeness issues aside, I still think this is a well-made figure. Even so, I do still got a docket for not looking like Harrison Ford. So for presentation, I'm giving Red Hulk 4 points. If you're enjoying this video so far, do me a favor and give it a like. Moving on to Poseability, and a new sculpted body means new articulation to explore. This isn't a versus, but I do want to keep a couple of other Hulk figures on hand to compare them to. From the top, and Harrison's head is on a dumbbell joint. This, unfortunately, is the highest that he can look up. For perspective, perspective, this is looking straight, but he can look down this far, which is pretty good. Thanks to the dumbbell, he does get a nice amount of tilt, and of course all the way around. Moving on down, and Ford can raise his arms 90 degrees. No butterfly joints this time around, which is another reason that I originally thought he was just this guy. No trouble with rotation, of course. And then moving down, we've got bicep swivel, as well as pinless double jointed elbows. While the Build-A-Figure has double elbow, most other Hulks do not. The Build-A-Figure has a much deeper bend than General Hulk, but his arms are a bit more slender, and this is still much better than the comic arms. At the ends of those arms, he has swivel hinge wrists. Not really a whole lot of up and down there. And now I bet you're wondering what happened to that black nail polish. And the answer's simple. I just don't film things in order. Moving to the middle, and Red Hulk has a diaphragm joint and a waist swivel. He can arch back this far. By contrast, this is standing straight, but he can only hunch forward this far. The trade-off, of course, is that the diaphragm gives him a nice natural tilt, and he can also twist. Again, the chest hair looks better when you completely arch him back. I'm guessing that the waist cut is really only there for practicality, by which I mean it was simpler to have this separate section cast in black than to paint them. It would also make it easier to swap out with other pants to make other Hulks. Still, if they could have engineered this to have a reverse ab crunch instead, that would have gone a long way to help the crunch. Below the waist, of course, and this Hulk has ball jointed hips. Strictly up and down, he can only kick this high, but if you're willing to push the leg out a little bit, he can get a bit higher. He can also kick this far back. And I've got to say, for a figure of this girth, the stance is really good. Traveling down the leg, and he's got thigh cut, as well as pinless, double jointed knees. I'll warn you, these are really stiff, so to get the upper joint to bend, I did have to hit it with some heat. Otherwise, and he has boot cut rotation, which is one thing that no other Marvel Legends Hulk in my collection has. Lastly, his ankles can hinge, and like General Thunderbolt Ross, from Sam Elliott to William Hurt to Harrison Ford to a big CGI monster, pivot. In general, General Thunderbolt Ross, this is one of the better articulated Hulk figures. With butterflies and a better crunch, we'd really be in business. As is, and for Poseability, I'm giving Red Hulk 4 points. Moving on to Playability, and Red Hulk does come with an alternate head. Unfortunately, that one doesn't look like Harrison Ford either. In general, though, it is a decent, relaxed expression. That said, I do feel like I'm probably going to be looking for some third-party options. Luckily, he does come with a pair of alternate fists. After all, a Hulk's got a smash. Wait a minute, much better. But playability is more than just heads and hands, it's also about how well your figure plays with others. First things first, and of course we've got to bring out the comic version. The movie version is taller, but comic is wider. For the OG, however, and here's 80 years, and then here's the Beyond the Earth's Mightiest Grey Hulk. The arms and lower half are the same as the previous two, but this one has an updated torso. Moving into the MCU though, and here's Gladiator Hulk from Thor Ragnarok. And then once again, here's that Build-A-Figure, and Amadeus Cho, the totally awesome Hulk, which uses most of that same body. That said, and for a couple of important Hulk supporting characters, and here's the sensational She-Hulk from last year's Iron Man Retro Wave, and Thunderbolt Ross's daughter Betty, the Red She-Hulk. Fun fact, I actually ordered this figure for my last Red Hulk video, but she didn't arrive in time. Next up is the comic version of Leader. I'm gonna be honest, I would be very surprised if Hasbro gave us a movie version. Again, yeah. And on the subject of the movie, and here's Red Hulk with the Falcon and Winter Soldier version of Sam. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to get the new movie version, but there are a lot of reused parts from this guy, so it does give you a pretty good idea of how they'd scale. Kicking it over to some comic-style Captains America, however, and here's Sam and Bucky, as well as 80 years and ultimate versions of Steve. For a couple of modern-ish Iron Men, and here we have Extremis and the one designed by Alex Ross, Spider-Woman and Warbird, 85 years Wolverine and retro card Spider-Man, and for a new addition to my collection, Sentry. For the only other 6-inch scale Harrison Ford in my collection, and here's the 40 Years Black Series Han Solo. I love you. Me. No. But for one comparison I know you'd like to see, here he is with Marvel Select. With that in mind, for a relative scale comparison, here's Red Hulk with Pizza Spidey and the spectacular Spider-Man. And as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Wow. They'll just let anyone be president. Whoa! Probably not the best time to tell you I didn't vote for you. For those interested in head swaps, here's the comic head on the movie body. It's a little loose, but doesn't look half bad. In fact, the base red matches up better than I expected. Alternately, I don't think the movie head looks quite as good on the comic body, but I'll leave that one for you to decide. I did try Gladiator Hulk, but the peg hole is too small. If you were willing to bust out the Dremel and the paints though, this could be a really good movie style Hulk. Hopefully Hasbro gives us one on this body. Alas, the endgame Hulk head doesn't fit either. If you wanted to use this as a base body for a comic style green Hulk, you could. Again, the head's a little loose, and with rumors swirling of a Maximum style Hulk, you might want to wait to see what that's all about first. In terms of accessories, I couldn't ask for anything more, and for those who want to use this as a comic style Red Hulk, you definitely could. It's just displaying him with other Brave New World figures that's the problem. For playability, Red Hulk once again gets 4 points. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. Bottom line, any Hulk figure you can get for $35 is a good deal, no less an all-new sculpt. Obviously, there are some missed opportunities, but it's a fun figure, and I'm excited to see what Hasbro does with this body next. For price, I'm giving Red Hulk 5 points, averaging out to a smashing total of 4.4 out of 5. You know, there's something about you I like. Something about being a prune face, telling a Star Wars actor to give in to their anger while talking in a low octave. Sorry, I don't see the resemblance. If you like this video, check out one of these. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.